Joe? Joe?
Morning.
Good morning. What, no coffee?
I didn't order any. I'm in a hurry this morning. You can order some up if you want.
Where are you off to?
Any particular reason for asking?
No.
I have some things to attend to.
Well, you certainly got up off the wrong side of the bed this morning.
You'll be unhappy to hear that your name isn't in the paper this morning.
What are you talking about?
A confession you took to Stryker Bellman last night, the one that was supposed to keep your darling husband from going to prison. No mention of it in the papers.
Becky, bring it back to you.
Good morning, Glory.
Well, Hotshot, you sure are happy today.
Well, not only is the well back in production today, but we're drilling a second one not too far from the first one.
But Justin, you told me you were going to close down that well for good in 2 weeks as soon as you finished your association with Bubba.
Well, that's my plan.
Well, why do you want to spend all that money drilling a second well?
For show. I'm supposed to be innocent, remember? My darling, I promise I'll close it down.
Okay.
Oh,
What is this?
it's a present for you.
Rena,
What is it?
don't you hear it? The well is starting up again. They're pumping oil from my land.
I'll say it again, Max. Forget about that well.
Oh, I can't.
You tossed and turned all night last night.
Well, I'm sorry if I kept you awake.
Losing sleep over something you can't do anything about doesn't make any sense. Ryan had a survey done. Justin's drilling legally. Accept it, Max. Stop driving yourself crazy, will you? It's not worth it.
Well, I know that Justin is stealing oil from our land.
Look, Ryan watched that survey being done. You know that. You know that the man explained everything very carefully to Ryan. The oil's on the Harper place.
Then why hasn't anyone discovered it before?
For one simple reason, no one's ever drilled there before.
That doesn't make any sense, Rena. Old man Harper has had surveys done for years, and no one has ever even become the least bit interested in even drilling a test well.
Max, there's oil all over the place that no one's discovered yet. It's just that Justin took a big chance, and he won.
Yeah, a real lucky shot.
I'm not any happier about this than you are, but this is something we're going to have to learn to deal with. Now, we promised ourselves that we wouldn't let Justin make our lives miserable, and here we are doing just that very thing.
Well, he's not gonna make our lives miserable for long.
Max, today's your day off. You didn't sleep last night. You're worn out. Why don't we go back to sleep for a while? Then we could fly down to Acapulco. I think it would be a good idea if we got away for a few days.
Well, I am going into town to talk to Ryan Connor. You can come if you want to.
Where are you off to in such a hurry?
Joe, thought you were leaving me again.
I wouldn't leave you. Just went out to get a paper.
Why didn't you wake me?
Well, you look so cute asleep. Besides, you got in late from singing at the Coop last night. And, just thought you might need a little rest, that's all.
But you could have saved me a lot of worry.
Now, does a guy make fresh coffee when he's getting ready to walk out on you?
You know, you're in a real good mood this morning.
Oh, yeah. You know, you were right
About what?
about that confession you made me write. I woke up this morning, I felt like I had 100-pound weight lifted off my chest.
I told you.
You were right. It would have been wrong to let Carrington go to jail for a crime he didn't commit.
Well, is there anything in the paper this morning about Dennis being cleared?
I didn't look.
Well, I can't find it.
Oh, well, there's got to be something. And there's been an article in here every day since he was convicted.
Yeah, well, if it's here, I can't find it.
Well, let me see. Well, is it possible that Carrington's wife still has a confession? What'd you say she was going to do with it?
Well, I brought it over to Mr. Parnell's suite, and Paige said that she was going to bring it to Stryker Bellman's last night.
What?
I said Paige said that she was going to bring it to Stryker Bellman's last night.
Yeah, but where'd you say you took it?
To Mr. Parnell's suite.
Who's Parnell?
Peter Parnell. He's the man that Paige is living with. He owns the coop.
Well, you never mentioned this guy Parnell before.
Well, I guess I never had any reason to mention it before.
Well, did you give her the confession while he was there?
No, of course not. No, I called the coop first to make sure that he was there. Joe, what is wrong with you?
Well, we got to be careful about this guy. He could foul up the whole works. I mean, what happens if Paige told him where she got the confession and he got suspicious?
Joe, I don't think she's going to do that.
Oh, man, I know I shouldn't have written that confession while I was still in the country. Now the police are going to be able to track it through you right to me.
Would you just calm down? And nobody knows where you are, Joe. And I'm real careful when I come here. I'm sure that there's nobody following me.
Can you trust this Paige Carrington?
I'm not sure, but I think so.
Terrific. You think so?
Look, Joe, we still have a few hours before we have to be at the diner, so why don't I go over to Paige and make sure that there's no problem with that confession?
I imagine there's no mention of the confession in the paper today because Stryker said that it would take a while for the police to check it out.
The best way to check it out is to find Joe Foster.
Maybe they will.
Well, they haven't done a very good job so far. I mean, Stryker said that he thought that Foster was still right here in Houston.
That's right.
I think they'd look for him a little harder than that for $1 million.
I don't think it's the money or Foster that they really want. I think they're really interested in Foster so he can lead them to the head of this drug ring that he and Chris Shaw were involved in.
Of course, all you're interested in is having Dennis freed so the two of you can be reunited.
You seem to have forgotten that Dennis and I met with his lawyer yesterday to start divorce proceedings, Peter.
Oh, I think I know you better than that, Paige. Admit it. Deep down, you still hope that somehow it'll never come to that.
I have no hopes at all where Dennis is concerned.
No? Not even now? Not when you've been instrumental in having Dennis cleared? Oh, come on. I'm sure you've imagined all sorts of tearful reunions with yourself cast in the role of savior.
I would just assume that Dennis didn't know that I was involved.
How very noble of you.
I wouldn't expect you to understand.
Oh, I understand more than you think, Paige. You know, I wouldn't put it past you to have forged that confession, just to work yourself back into Dennis's good graces.
That confession is real, Peter.
How do you know that?
I told you it was stuck under the door. There are just too many details in it that only the killer would know.
I read that confession, Paige. There was nothing in it that couldn't have been gleaned from the morning newspaper.
Just what are you getting at, Peter?
Nothing. I just think the whole thing is rather peculiar.
I'm going to change now.
Well, I'm leaving now. I have an important business meeting. I'll be back later this afternoon. Yeah? Yes, indeed. A very important business meeting.
Hello, Ashley. I'd like to talk to Ryan.
I'm sorry he's in a conference call right now, but he should be finished shortly if you'd like to wait.
Thanks, we will.
Can I get you any coffee or tea or anything?
Not for me.
No, thank you. You know, I kind of expected to see you after the survey yesterday, Max.
Yeah, I wish now that I'd gone.
Oh, hello, Rena, Max.
Ryan, I'd like to talk to you. Privately.
Well, sure, come on in. Any messages?
Mr. Anderson from the shipyard called. Wants you to call him back. That's it.
Okay, hold my calls, will you?
All right.
You coming in?
I'll wait here for you if you don't mind.
I'm sorry to bother you again, Paige.
That's all right. What can I do for you, Lena?
Well, I was looking in the paper this morning, and I didn't see any mention of that confession that I brought you last night.
I know.
Aren't they taking any action on it?
Well, I took it to Stryker Bellman last night.
Well, then why isn't Dennis being cleared? Is there some problem with them accepting it?
Not so far as I know, but Stryker says that the DA can't take any action until the police validate it.
And how are they going to do that?
Stryker says that there's a copy of Joe Foster's signature at the Maritime Union.
Oh, well, then it's just a matter of time, right?
I would assume so.
Well, good. That's really all I wanted to know.
This confession seems more important to you than it does to me, Anita.
Well, I really would hate to see Dennis go to jail for a crime he didn't commit.
Well, that's very kind of you.
I better go now.
Elena, I think you should know. Stryker asked me where I got the confession.
What did you tell him?
I used your suggestion. I said someone had slipped it under the door.
Yeah, I think that it's best for everybody.
I'm not so sure it's best for you, though. What you're doing is very dangerous, Elena.
Dangerous?
You're hiding something.
Well, why would I be hiding something?
I don't know. But if you know where Joe Foster is, you should notify the police.
I have no idea where he is.
Then why can't you tell me where you got the confession?
Would you believe me if I told you I found it on the sidewalk?
No, I wouldn't.
No, I didn't think so.
Whatever it is you're hiding, Elena, I hope it's not a big mistake.
But you won't say anything.
I don't know why, but no, I won't.
Well, what have we here? Looks like our friend Joe has himself a girlfriend.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, honey.
You been in court all morning?
Yes.
How'd it go?
Fine.
Does that mean you won?
Yes.
You just love those maritime cases, don't you?
Yes, I do. We're going to eat out here?
Mm-hmm, as soon as Max and Rena arrive.
What are they doing in town?
Max came in to see Ryan about that survey.
What about it?
He wants another one done.
Oh, I thought that survey is settled once and for all.
Well, obviously, Max isn't going to give in that easily.
I wish he'd accept there was oil on the Harper place and get on with his life.
You calm down and try to understand what Max is going through.
Yeah, he's not the first rancher in Texas had to live with oil wells.
Honey, that approach is not going to work with Max and Rena.
I've tried to be reasonable with him. That doesn't work. I talked to him on the phone last night for a half hour. It was no use.
Will you try again? Just one more time. For me?
Okay.
You must have gone to secretarial school. I have a degree in finance and a master's in business administration.
I'll bet you were a cheerleader.
Well, as a matter of fact, I was. Were you a drum majorette?
How'd you guess?
I tell you, I go to those ball games now, I just feel like an old lady. I look at those girls and I think they look like babies.
Well, you look lovely today, Ashley. Tell me, are you in love with Justin Marshall?
I understand that you were in love with him at one time.
Maybe one of my bigger mistakes, honey. I hope that my past relationship with Justin doesn't bother you.
No. Good-looking man like Justin, I figure there are going to be a few pretty girls in his past.
And maybe a few in his future, Ashley. Lots of them.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Want some advice?
No, thank you.
I'm going to pay you a compliment, Ashley. I think that Justin has finally met his match. I'm sure you're as ambitious as he is.
Why, thank you.
You're smart, and I repeat, you're certainly very attractive. You just might be able to pull it off. Marry him, Ashley. That's what you're after, isn't it?
Well, now, actually, Miss Rena, I hadn't given that much thought.
Well, now, he's an oil man now. The money's rolling in. That puts him at the top of this city's most eligible bachelor list. And this town is full of former college homecoming queens looking for rich husbands, honey. That's why you came here, isn't it? Take my advice, darling. Don't wait too long.
If I'd been looking to marry money, I'd have just stayed in Savannah. I wanted a little more excitement.
You're in the big leagues now, honey. Watch yourself.
Max, I know you're upset about the directional survey, but wells on the Harper property is just something you're going to have to learn how to live with.
Wells? You mean like more than one?
Yes, Justin's planning to start drilling another one right away.
Justin must have found another pool of oil on my property that he can tap into.
Oh, come on. The survey proved he's not slant drilling.
I don't believe your survey.
Well, that's because you don't want to believe it, right, Max?
No, I know Bubba. And Bubba's a crook. And I also know Justin, and Justin would do anything for wealth and for power.
Max! I called a friend of mine this morning, an engineer. Now, he looked at the geological reports and the logs, and he verified the report Collins gave us yesterday.
Well, I want another survey done. And I'm going to ask Stryker to recommend somebody.
Well, I'm satisfied with Collins' survey, so as far as I'm concerned, the matter is settled. You got that?
They are stealing oil from my land. Now, Justin and Bubba belong in jail.
Max! I've spent a lot of time and money investigating your accusations. Now, they've all proved to be false. I think you're being irrational. What am I supposed to do? Go around to every survey company in Houston until you're convinced that the drilling's legal? Shutting down the wells costs thousands of dollars each day. I can't justify that kind of expense.
Well, don't you care that this fancy office of yours is being paid for with dishonest money?
Don't you ever accuse me of being dishonest again. I went out on a limb because of you. I accused a man of criminal activity based on your suspicions, and I hired someone to investigate. I don't like Justin Marshall any more than you do, but the survey proved that he's not guilty of slant drilling. Now, if you can't prove otherwise, better get out of here.
How'd you like to hear the good news?
Has the DA accepted the confession?
Not officially. But Stryker called me at KVIK a short while ago and said it looked as if Dennis was going to be cleared.
Oh, Elliot! Oh, are I can't believe he's going to be free.
I know.
Have you told Dennis yet?
No, now Dennis has had his hopes dashed before. I want to wait until I'm certain. But I thought you'd want to know.
Oh, thank you for telling me. I'm so happy. You must be happy, too.
Happy? I am delirious. That's why I came here, I guess. I wanted to tell the one person who probably knows better than anyone else how I feel.
That's very kind of you. Would you like to sit for a while?
Sure.
Cup of coffee?
Oh, no, thank you. Well, I hope now that we can all return to a normal life.
Yeah, whatever that means.
Well, for one thing, it means you and Dennis becoming friends again.
No, Elliot. It's all over between Dennis and I. I accepted that yesterday when you saw Stryker.
Just because your marriage is over doesn't mean that you can't salvage something from your relationship.
It is true, Elliot. You don't know how it's been. You haven't seen Dennis. Anyway, I don't think divorced couples make very good friends anyway, unless children are involved.
Well, I think it's important that you try. For you and for Dennis.
I don't think it's the right time to explain myself to Dennis right now. He's never accepted the fact that I came here to live after I was fired from the top of the World Club.
I know.
I tried to explain, Elliot, but he wouldn't understand.
I wish you would explain to me. Because I don't understand it either.
Come on in, Joe. I've been waiting for you.
What are you doing here?
I was going to ask you the same question.
What's it look like I'm doing? Staying at the Ritz?
No, I guess not. I was a little surprised to find you were still in this dump here. I thought you were out of the country. Police thought so, too.
Yeah, well, the police were wrong.
So I see.
What do you want? I told you we were through.
Well, I just thought I'd drop by and have a little chat. Maybe give you some advice.
Yeah, well, I don't need your advice.
No? Well, I'll tell you one thing for sure. That's not a very good disguise you have on. You're taking quite a chance going out like that.
What I do now is my business.
Yeah, well, I intend to make it my business, too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You can?
Sure, I ain't no dummy. I know why you're here.
Oh, you do you?
Yeah. I read the other day in the paper that Alex Wheeler was dead.
A little bit behind the times.
Yeah, well, not so behind it not to know that you killed him.
That's quite an imagination you have there.
Oh, yeah? Well, is it my imagination that you called and asked me to take care of Alex Wheeler for you?
Maybe. In any case, it's just your word against mine.
Wrong, Parnell. I got a witness.
You mean your girlfriend?
Put that down.
Surprised at you, Joe. Tell me, what's she like?
None of your business what she's like.
Okay. I'm not in any hurry. Maybe I'll just wait around and see for myself.
Why can't World Oil do one more survey?
Max and I would be willing to pay for it.
Ryan is satisfied with Collins' survey. Closing down the well again costs thousands of dollars.
We'll pay for that too, Daddy.
Rena, why do you want another survey?
The Collins survey was faked.
Collins has been around for years. I don't think he's going to fake a survey.
He was paid enough, he would. Now, the only way to prove that is to do another survey.
Or buy off the logging engineer.
Why?
If he was slant drilling, he's in on it. He was faking the geological reports.
Why didn't you tell me that before?
Well, I never thought of it before. I assumed that the survey would end this matter once and for all.
Do you think I can buy this guy off?
Frankly, no, and I'm sorry I even mentioned it.
Daddy, there must be some information that's correct that would prove that they're slant drilling.
Not if you're smart.
Well, let's suppose they're not. Where would that information be?
They'd keep it on the well site in a place called the Mud Shack.
Justin isn't about to give that information to anyone.
Well, then I'll just have to take it.
Hold on, Max.
Can you tell me what to look for?
No, not if you're planning some sort of break-in.
They're stealing oil from our land.
Max, will you calm down? Daddy's doing the best he can to help us out.
Max should be breaking the law.
Well, if that is the only way that I can prove that Justin is slant drilling, then to hell with the law.
Max!
Hold on, let me take care of this.
don't know how to help him. I don't know how to help him. He's possessed by this thing, and I don't know how to deal with it.
Well, maybe your father can talk some sense to him.
Oh, I tried all night last night. See how successful I was? Max! I'm so afraid.
Bubba says that if he goes to jail, he's going to do his best to take me with him. He'll say that I was involved.
Were you involved, Justin?
I swear I wasn't, actually. But now it's Bubba's word against mine. I'm just happy my daddy isn't here to witness my dishonoring my family and its name. I always wanted to be like him. Grow up and live in that big house. Have a son to carry on my name. Instead, Bubba Wadsworth is going to land me in jail.
No. I'll figure out some way to help you. I won't let you go to prison.
Actually, there's only one way out for me.
What is it? Ryan Connor is having a meeting with the man from the survey company, Jay Collins.
You pulled it off. How?
I'm not proud of what I've done.
You kept me out of jail. You made me a free man.
I know, Justin. That's the reason that I did it.
You're not waiting around for anything.
I don't think you're going to fire that thing.
Yeah, well, you keep talking and you just might find out.
Oh, signs are all over, Joe.
What are you talking about?
You've gone soft.
Yeah? How you figure?
Well, for one thing, you got a girl tying you down. Probably putting all sorts of dumb ideas in your head, like sending in that confession. Not very smart, Joe.
Yeah, well, I don't care what you think is smart. As for the girl, you just leave her out of it.
Ooh, touchy, huh? So what'd you do, Joe? You tell this girl how you killed Chris Shaw?
It was an accident.
Yeah, that's what you keep saying. I know what the confession said, Joe. I read it, or maybe you didn't know that it was slipped under my door for Paige Carrington.
Yeah, you know so much. Why don't you tell me about it?
You know, Joe, it doesn't really matter what the girl thinks. It's the cops that count, and they want you, Joe. They want you bad.
And you think you're going to turn me in?
No. I have no intention of turning you in.
That's good. Because if you did, I might just have to tell them about Alex Wheeler. I got half a mind to do that anyway.
Well, good. Why don't you do it, Joe? Why don't you do it right now? Go on. You know they wouldn't believe you. It's just your word against mine. They'd arrest you, and that'd be the end of it.
Well, I think the police could prove it once they got on the right track. I think they'd also be interested to know that you're head of a multi-million-dollar drug operation.
You can't prove that either. Look, Joe, I already told you, I don't want to turn you in. All I want's what's rightfully mine. I want my share of that $1 million, Joe, and I want it now.
I don't have it.
You expect me to believe that?
I don't care whether you believe it or not. I don't have it.
Police think you have it.
Well, the police also thought I was out of town. And you think I'd be hanging around this dump if I didn't have to?
Well, maybe you don't have the money. But I think you know where it is. Why else would you be hanging around Houston?
Get out.
Come on, now, why don't you say that hostility?
Get out, I said.
Okay. But remember, I'll be back. I'll see you later, Joe. Oh, and say hello for me to your girlfriend, whoever she is.
I don't know if I can explain why I'm here, Elliot. I'm not really sure I know myself.
Well, Iris certainly didn't help matters.
She never does.
She had no right to throw you out of the apartment or to fire you from the top of the World Club.
Legally, she had every right in the world.
But she knew you were already upset about Dennis.
She wanted to humiliate me, and she succeeded.
Why didn't you call me?
I didn't want to talk to anybody.
But that's what friends are for.
I know. I just couldn't. All of a sudden, it seemed like I'd ruined every life I'd ever touched.
Well, why did you call Peter?
I didn't.
He what? He what, Paige?
He found me.
Found you.
I tried to commit suicide.
What?
I had a bottle of sleeping pills, and I just took them.
Why didn't you tell me this before?
I was ashamed.
Why?
Because I couldn't even do that right.
Well, why didn't you say something?
What would have been the use?
Well, for one thing, it would have gone a long way toward explaining the way you've been acting these past weeks.
You know the really ironic thing, Elliot? Didn't really solve anything. Just ended up hating myself even more. Hating Peter for saving me. He made me vomit the pills, and then he walked me around until he was certain that I was all right.
You must have been in so much pain.
No. Just very ashamed. It's a really foolish thing to do. I realize that now. But at the time, it seemed like the only way out.
I wish you'd come and told me this before.
Why?
Well, because I don't think you belong here with this man.
He was very good to me at the beginning, Elliot. Now I think he sort of thinks of me as a trophy or some kind of victory.
You can't go on punishing yourself forever. I don't know very much about Peter, but from what I do know, I don't think he's right for you.
Ellie, it's not what you think. We're just friends. That's all we've ever been. Of course, there's no one in this town that would believe that now, but...
I do.
Don't you see? He's all I thought I deserved.
Well, I hope you don't think that anymore.
Mama, would you do something for me?
If I can.
Sometime during lunch today, would you suggest that we all go down to that house in Acapulco? I feel that if I can get Max away from this ranch, that maybe he'll be able to think a little more clearly.
I'll suggest it, honey, but given the state that Max is in, I don't think he'll go.
Somehow, some way, I have got to get him away from that oil well. The more he looks at it, the madder he gets.
Why don't you suggest staying in town tonight? That might help a little.
I'll try anything. He said some terrible things to Ryan.
Ryan understands how upset Max is.
I hate what this is doing to him.
I know.
Sorry for the way I stormed out.
Don't worry about it, Max. Did you talk to Daddy?
Yes.
Are you feeling any better?
Yes, I am.
Where's Stryker?
Well, he's on the phone talking to his secretary. He'll be out in a minute.
All right, I'm going to tell Beth that we're ready for lunch. Excuse me.
Max, did Daddy make any sense to you?
What he said made a lot of sense to me. He said that if I wasn't careful, I'd end up in jail.
The plan is to get Justin in jail, not you.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, let's sit down for a minute. Would Daddy have any legal way to get the books or the reports or whatever it is that you need?
Yes, he could subpoena them, but if Justin and Bubba are slant drilling, they won't turn them over, or they could deny they exist, or they could hand over falsified documents.
So what's the next move?
Well, your daddy said that if I just have a little patience, sooner or later Justin and Bubba will trip themselves up.
Yes, they will. Eventually.
Then I'll just have to wait until they do.
Are you up to something, Max?
Nothing. Your daddy counseled patience, and I'm going to be patient. And I'm going over to Ryan's and apologize to him for the things I said earlier. Ryan's been a good friend to us, and he doesn't deserve to be treated that way.
There must have been some talk you had with Daddy.
Well, he made me understand that being mad at Justin won't help one bit.
So you've decided to be patient.
Listen, you want to stay in town for supper tonight?
That's what you want?
Well, since I kept you awake all last night, why don't you take a nap after lunch so you won't fall asleep during dinner?
Are you sure you're all right?
Yeah. I'm fine.
I came by earlier. You were out.
What's the matter with you?
This is a payoff. I don't want it.
Actually,
You used me, you conned me, and I fell for it. And this is what you think I want? Gold bracelets? Does this even things out for you, Justin? Is that it?
Ashley, this is not a balance sheet. It's a gift. And when I looked at it through the window in the jewelry store, I just thought it would look pretty on you.
Oh, sure you did.
Darling, what's wrong? What are you so fired up about?
Oh, your timing is rotten, Justin. You could have given me that gold bracelet last week or 2 days ago. But no, you choose today, after I'd done your dirty work for you.
I am not paying you off. That would have never crossed my mind. You know I care about you too much to ever do anything like that. I gave you that gift because I thought you'd enjoy it, that's all.
I don't believe you, Justin. You can take that bracelet back to the store, or you can give it to somebody else. I really don't care, but I don't want it.
Well, if you won't accept this, I know a gift you will accept.
Where have you been?
I just stopped by my apartment to get some clothes.
I was worried about you.
Well, we don't have to be at the diner for another 2 hours.
Yeah, well, I think we're going to be a little late getting to work today.
Why?
Elena, we got to find someplace else to go.
What?
We got to move.
But why? I was just getting used to this place. I thought I would bring some pictures.
Elena, we can't stay here.
I heard you, Joe. But why?
We just can't.
Joe, what's wrong? Did something happen while I was gone?
Yeah. My boss paid me a visit.
Here?
Yeah, that's right.
What did he want?
What do you think he wanted? He wanted his share of the money.
Yeah, but you don't have the money.
I told him that. He doesn't believe it.
Oh. Afraid he's going to turn you in?
No, he's not going to turn me in. I know too much for him to do that. That's the problem. I know too much, period.
What are you talking about,
He's
Joe?
afraid I'm going to blow the whistle on him.
About what?
Elena, would you stop drilling me with these questions? It doesn't matter what. What matters is that we get out of here and fast.
Yeah, but where do you want to go, Joe?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you.
Well, we can't go back to the ranch. You know, Max and Rena are planning that barn dance, and it looked pretty suspicious if I moved back to the ranch after having just moved back to my apartment.
Well, what about your apartment?
No, Joe, we cannot go there.
Why not?
Because there's people around there all the time, and Billy Joe lives there, and somebody would see you.
That's just a chance we're going to have to take.
I went to the hospital
Oh, what for?
to see Evan Douglas. I wanted to talk to him about the night Alex died, and early this morning was the only time he had free.
Was there any help?
Not much. He told me the same things you did. He remembers being puzzled when I told him a nurse had given me a message to go to his office.
But you still can't remember which nurse.
I wish I could. I have tried so hard to remember, to conjure up her face, but it just won't come. So many nurses went in and out of Alex's room.
Well, there are an awful lot of staff nurses at that hospital.
I know, and the only ones I'd paid any attention to were the private duty nurses. We used to sit and chat together.
Well, that means that the nurse that gave you the message was not a private duty nurse.
No. I'm sure she wasn't. I just have no idea what she looked like. I was so excited, you know, about Alex's regaining his speech and his meeting with Dennis.
Iris, do you still regard Alex's death as suspicious?
Yes. It's a feeling I have.
Can you explain it?
Of course. Ryan Connor.
Come in!
This was mixed up in Mr. Connor's mail.
Thanks. How are you?
Fine.
I missed you last night.
I better get back to work.
I'm sorry you're still angry about the bracelet.
You still don't understand, do you, Justin?
Yes, I do. I apologize if my timing was bad.
It couldn't have been worse.
I certainly didn't mean it to look like a payoff.
Well, it sure looked like one.
You just misinterpreted it. I thought you knew that I cared about you enough to give you a gift because I wanted to. Not because I felt I had to.
I don't know what to think these days, Justin.
Well, I guess this is the first chance you've had to see my new office.
Yes, it is.
Oh, thank you. Well, what do you think?
Well, it's great, what there is.
I guess it is a bit bare, but new offices rarely win any decorating awards.
Dad, would you have lunch with me?
Today, yes, I'd like that very much.
Hello, Elliot.
Hello.
Dennis, I heard you were here this morning, and I wanted to say hello.
I was going to drop by your office in a few minutes.
Dennis and I are having lunch later. Would you like to join us?
Well, yes, thank you, Elliot. That sounds very nice. Dennis, I want you to know that all the reporters you used to work with ask for you all the time.
Well, I'm not surprised. After all, I've become something of a celebrity, haven't I? In fact, I think I'll drop down to the file room and take one last look at everybody before they lock me away.
Coffee?
No, thanks.
Where are you off to?
I thought I'd go over to KVIK and talk to Elliot.
There's still no mention in the paper this morning of that Foster's confession.
That's what I thought I'd talk to him about.
You're looking very nice this morning.
Thank you.
Dressing a little more sedately these days.
I guess I am.
You know, you must think you have a real good thing going here. Sleeping there in the bedroom every night while I'm sleeping out here, going just so far and then
Peter.
stopping. Just how much longer do you think I'm going to put up with that?
Not much longer.
You know, You didn't get to sleep till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
I know. Just kept going over things in my mind.
You know, if you don't get any rest, you're not going to be any good at the diner this afternoon.
I know. What's that?
I don't know. Who is it?
It's me, Elena. Ruby Wright.
It's Billy Joe's sister.
What's she doing here?
I don't know.
What are we gonna do?
You go into the bathroom and I'll try and find out what she wants. Jump, leave the sheet.
Iris, Ryan is not responsible for Alex's death.
I disagree. I believe Alex told him of his plans to change his will and leave World Oil to Dennis.
But even if he did...
And I believe Ryan argued about it and caused Alex to have another stroke.
But Ryan insists that when he went into that hospital room, Alex was already dead.
I don't believe that.
Ryan says he never even spoke to Alex.
No, that's not true.
Iris, Dr. Douglas and I tried to determine exactly how much time Ryan was in that room. Now, it couldn't have been more than a minute or two. It's not time enough to argue.
Yes, it's time enough.
No, it isn't. Iris, Alex spoke slowly, haltingly. He barely had enough time to tell him about his change of mind. Ryan would have had to have a couple of minutes at least to get Alex so exercised that he'd suffer a stroke.
We're assuming that Ryan bothered to argue with Alex.
What are you saying? Ryan is Alex's nephew. He's family.
He was on the verge of losing his job, his shares in World Oil, all of which amounted to a considerable amount of money.
You're wrong, Iris.
How is it that you know Ryan so well? I mean, you've seen him perhaps, 4 times in the past 8 years? And you've spent very little time with him since you arrived in Houston.
Well, I know him well enough to know he's an excellent lawyer. And would just as soon be practicing law as running World Oil. He has money of his own. That's no factor.
Money and power. Those are the factors. That's what Ryan stood to lose if Alex changed his will.
You're wrong, Iris.
I am not wrong. And I intend to prove it.
I'll be right back.
All right, son.
You haven't told him about the confession yet.
No, Stryker asked me not to, but it is getting increasingly difficult to keep it from him.
I know. But I think Stryker's right, Elliot. If Dennis were to be given new hope now and then have that hope dashed, well, it would just upset him more.
I suppose you're right, but I do not understand what has taken them so long. They've had the confession for a day now.
Well, from what Stryker tells me, the DA is ready to accept that confession as valid. But there's so much red tape involved. You know how things are.
Oh, this whole experience has changed Dennis so much.
Oh, I think he'll be fine once he realizes he doesn't have a prison sentence hanging over him.
I don't know. You saw the scene he caused in the top of the World Club the other night.
Yes.
Well, before this happened, Dennis would never have behaved that way. He would never have embarrassed Paige like that.
No, he wouldn't.
Dennis is a gentle man.
Well, perhaps his attitude toward Paige will change when he knows that she's the one that brought Joe Foster's confession to the authorities.
Well, I hope you're right. But for the moment, my only hope is that it won't cause the opposite effect.
I'm thinking about moving out here.
When?
As soon as I can find a place to go. Sooner, if you'd rather.
You're welcome to stay here as long as you want. You know that.
You've already done too much for me. I appreciate it, but it's really time for me to go.
What brought all of this on?
Oh, lots of things.
Are you planning on moving back in with your husband now that he's been cleared of murder?
I won't be moving back in with Dennis, Peter. In 60 days, he won't even be my husband.
You were always a woman to go after what she wanted. Got it most of the time.
There's no use going after Dennis. He doesn't want me.
You still care for him, don't you, Paige?
Don't we always care about the people we love?
We used to have a pretty good thing going back in Hollywood.
That was different.
Was it?
Yes, it was, Peter. Because I never really loved you.
Ruby, I haven't had my coffee or my breakfast or anything yet. Why don't you go back over to Billy Joe's and I'll come visit you in a little while?
Well, as a matter of fact, I haven't had any breakfast either. Why don't I fix us some while you go get dressed?
I don't really think there's much in the house to fix. There's just some bread, for some toast, and
That's
stuff.
really all I want anyway. You know how it is when you're trying to watch your waist. You just go get dressed and I'll make us some toast and coffee.
Well, Ruby, I don't really think that this is
I don't mind. It's no trouble, really.
Okay, I'll show you where the bread and the coffee are.
I think I can find it.
Okay. The kitchen is over there.
I know. I just wanted to wash my hands.
Well,
it's just a thing with me. I always like to wash my hands before I cook.
Well, actually, I was just going into the bathroom myself.
I'll only be a minute.
Why don't you use the kitchen sink?
Sure. You know, your apartment's just like Billy Joe's.
Yes, it is. It's the same floor plan.
Do you always sleep without a sheet?
Yeah, always in the summertime. You know, it's a lot cooler that way.
Slept late today.
Yeah, I was tired.
What time did you get in last night?
Not late.
Did you go back to the coop?
Yeah. I like that place.
I'm not so sure I like you going there by yourself.
Oh, Dad, I'm 18 years old. Lots of girls go by themselves.
Do they?
Yes. Some even return by themselves.
That's not very funny, Lacey.
I'm in such a bad mood about this morning.
I'm not in a bad mood.
What's the matter?
I just don't like the idea of my daughter going to honky-tonks and picking up strange cowboys.
That's not what's happening. I'm just having a little fun.
Have you given any additional thought to Vicki Bowman's suggestion that you work at KVIK?
I'm not so sure that I want to work as a summer intern at a TV station. Besides, the summer's almost over.
Well, I think that'd be very interesting.
Then you take the job.
Lacey, I think you had better find something constructive to fill your time.
If you bought a horse farm, I'd have a lot to occupy my time.
Well, I'm working on that, honey. I want it just as badly as you do.
Dad, I'm going to ask Max Decker for a job at the ranch.
Sure, there's something I can do out there. Besides, I know a lot more about horses than Jeb Hampton, that's for sure.
You're not working at the Marshall Ranch.
Dad!
I'm not going to discuss it, and that's final.
Are you going to tell me what you're so upset about this morning? I'm sure it's not that I slept late. What's the matter?
That's Iris.
What's she done?
Oh, she keeps insisting that Ryan is responsible for Alex's death.
You don't think he's responsible, do you?
No. Died of natural causes.
Have you talked to Mr. Bellman since we had dinner with him the other night?
Mm-hmm. There's no proof of foul play.
There's one thing I've learned about Aunt Iris.
And what's that?
She has a mind of her own. You better find a way to help Cousin Ryan before this gets out of hand.
Hello, Ashley. Becky said you were in here.
Mrs. Wheeler, I wasn't expecting you. Justin should be back in a minute.
Thank you. Aren't you feeling well?
I'm fine.
You don't look fine. Have you been working too hard?
No.
Well, something's wrong. I wish you'd tell me about it. I used to have the worst time getting your Aunt Hildy to talk about her problems. But once she finally did talk, she always felt better.
Oh, Mrs. Wheeler.
Is Ryan Connor giving you trouble?
No. It's Justin.
What about Justin?
I love him, Mrs. Wheeler. And I don't know what to do about it. I know that it's the biggest mistake that I've ever made in my whole life. And I know that I should just pack my bags and leave town and just try to forget him.
How does Justin feel about you?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I think he loves me, and then other times, I don't know.
Have you discussed it with him?
No.
Well, if you did just pack up and move away to another city, would you be able to forget him?
No.
Then I think you should stay right here and fight for him.
I'm afraid I'll lose.
At least you'll have made the effort. Is he seeing anyone else?
No. At least not that I know of.
I must ask you something very personal, but it's important.
What is it?
Is your relationship with Justin an intimate one?
Yes. Well, that was probably a mistake.
It's too late to worry about that now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ashley, what is it that is really bothering you? Are you afraid that you will lose Justin? Or are you afraid that you won't be able to make him happy?
Mrs. Wheeler, I don't think anybody can make Justin Marshall happy. Except for maybe Rena.
That's foolish.
Is it?
Certainly. He had an opportunity to marry Rena, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, I know that.
Then stop worrying about Rena. She loves Max too much to be a threat to you.
But see, I wonder if Justin can ever love anybody but Rena.
You'll never know if you pack up and leave. What else are you concerned about?
Oh, Justin's ambition. It's awesome. And it frightens me.
There's nothing wrong with ambition, darling. Look what Alex accomplished through his. Now, would you be happy with a man whose only dream was a 2-bedroom house with a patio and a barbecue pit?
No.
Well, you listen to me. Justin's ambition is very, very healthy. And when I have proved that Ryan Connor was responsible for Alex's death, Justin is the most likely candidate for Ryan's job. So if you want him, you go after him.
Excuse me, sir. Is this the office of the new news director?
Paige, it's good to see you this morning.
Hi. It's nice to see you, too.
Please. What brings you here?
Well, actually, Elliot, I was wondering about Joe Foster's confession. I didn't see anything about it in the paper, and I was just wondering if there was a problem.
No, not that I know of.
Well, didn't you tell me yesterday that the DA had accepted the confession?
Yes, he has, but there's a lot of red tape to go through before it becomes official.
Well, does Dennis have to go back to court?
Not physically, but there does have to be a session between the judge and the Stryker and the district attorney.
Have you told him yet, Elliot?
No, Stryker thinks that it's best to wait.
Well, I can understand that. It's no good building up his hopes and then having it all fall apart.
You're looking well.
Thank you. I feel good.
Well, I'm glad to hear it.
Talking to you yesterday helped a lot.
Good.
I realized that ever since Dennis left me, I'd sort of been allowing myself just to coast, accept whatever life had to offer. Except I came to the conclusion that life doesn't really offer a great deal unless you ask for it.
Well, what are you asking for now?
Well, I thought I'd start off by asking you to have dinner with me tonight.
Yes, can I help you?
I'm Detective Michaels, New York City Police Department. Are you Peter Parnell?
I am. What can I do for you?
Well, I'd like to ask you a few questions, Mr. Parnell, about a man who used to work for you. A man named Joe Foster.
Mrs. Wheeler, I spent more time with Mr. Wheeler than anybody else did. And if anyone is to blame for him having the stroke, then it's me. It's not Ron Connor.
You did nothing to cause Alex's stroke. I don't blame you, and I certainly don't want you to blame yourself.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way.
I do. I blame Ryan, and I'm going to find a way to prove he's responsible.
Mrs. Wheeler, I think you're wrong about that.
I'm right, Ashley. I'm sure I am.
I better be getting back to work.
Will you stop by the house soon and visit with me?
I promise. Thank you.
You are welcome, sweetheart.
Can I get you some tea, coffee?
Oh, no, thank you, Justin.
What can I do for you?
You can answer some questions for me. The night Alex died, you and Ashley were in the reception room at the hospital.
Yes, that's right.
You were waiting to see Alex.
Yes, that's right. You asked me to wait until he was feeling stronger.
Yes. And while I was talking to you, Ryan showed up and announced that he was going to talk to Alex.
That's right, but you opposed his visit. And Dr. Douglas arrived and said it was okay.
Do you have any idea how much time elapsed between the time Ryan left us to go to Alex's room and Dr. Douglas and I left you?
No, I don't. We exchanged a few words, but I don't even remember what we talked about. Why?
I wondered if Ryan had enough time in Alex's room to argue with him about the will he was going to change.
Oh. I'm not sure he did.
But Alex was alive when I left his room. He had regained his speech. His motor responses were returning. There was no indication that he would suffer another stroke.
Well, that happens without warning, Iris.
Or it happens because someone wants it to happen.
I can believe that. But no one else will without any proof. You don't have any proof, do you, Iris?
No.
Well, then there's nothing that can be done. You may as well give up now.
It's exactly what Ryan expects everyone to do. Give up. But I have no intention of giving up.
I thought you said you were going to change.
Well, I decided not to. I just feel like being lazy today.
I was thinking maybe the two of us could go down and lie out by the pool for a while this morning.
Well, Ruby, I really don't feel like making any definite plans. You know, that's part of having a lazy day.
There were a couple of great-looking guys out by the pool yesterday. I wanted to talk to them, but I didn't want to seem too forward.
You know, I have a good idea.
What?
Well, why don't you take this toast and the coffee over to Billy Joe's apartment, and I'll come over there and visit you in a minute.
Why?
Well, poor Billy Joe, he must be sitting there all by himself having his breakfast. You know, you could go over there and surprise him.
Well, poor Billy Joe left the house about an hour ago to go see some man about changing the amplification system at the coop.
Oh.
You know, that brother of mine's the most industrious man I've ever seen.
Well,
Sometimes I think he's too industrious.
Yeah, that must be what makes him such a good manager, I guess.
Well, I think a really good manager is the kind of person who can just sit back and let people come knocking on his or her door.
Well, I think, you know, Billy Joe is just beginning, but he'll get to that point one of these days.
I guess so.
So, how are you and Billy Joe getting along?
Oh, we're getting along all right. He's just starting to get on my nerves a little.
Get on your nerves how?
Oh, he's always complaining every time I try and help him.
Oh, well, how do you try and help him?
Well, you know Billy Joe. He's just about the most unorganized person on the face of this earth. But every time I try and get things a little more reorganized for him, he resents it.
Well, it's hard when two people are living together.
Billy Joe lived with Nita.
Well, that was different. They were married.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That is different.
Well, what do you plan to do?
Well, I was thinking I might move out. Give Billy Joe some breathing room.
Oh, well, where do you plan to move to?
Well, that's another reason I came over this morning. I was wondering if I could move in with you.
If you have other plans for dinner, Elliot, I understand.
No, I don't have any other plans.
Oh. Stupid of me. Dennis, of course you want to celebrate with him tonight. I understand.
I just think that I should be with him tonight. Especially after I've told him the good news. Assuming that it comes today.
I'm sure it will, and I think you should be with him.
I wish that I could ask you to join us, but I can't. I'm sorry.
No, I understand. I agree. I don't think it would be a very good idea.
I hope all of that will change soon.
Oh, I'm pretty reconciled to what's going to happen between Dennis and me.
Now, you mustn't reconcile yourself to anything, Paige. I see no reason why you and Dennis can't eventually end up as good friends.
I would like that, Elliot.
Well, then think positively about it.
At the moment, there doesn't seem to be much chance of it.
Can I take a rain check on dinner?
Sure.
Good. Some other time. I'd love it. Maybe...
I hope I'm not interrupting anything.
Hello, Dennis.
How are your friends in the file room?
They're just fine. It seems that no one there has ever seen a real live convict before, so I signed a few autographs.
I think I better go.
Oh, I'm sure Peter Parnell is anxiously awaiting your arrival at home.
Goodbye, Elliot.
Goodbye.
Dennis.
I don't believe you're acting this way, Dennis.
I was under the assumption that a condemned man could act as he behaved, as he pleased.
You're not a condemned man, and even if you were, it wouldn't give you an excuse to behave like
Dad, I am going to jail tomorrow for 5 years. 2.5 years if I behave myself.
That's not going to happen.
Oh, it is going
Dennis,
to happen,
something
Dad.
has come up, something that you don't know about.
What are you talking
about?
about?
And I wish now I had told you about it a lot sooner.
What are you talking about?
The district attorney was given a confession yesterday. It changes your whole status.
What?
Chris Shaw's real murderer has confessed. You didn't kill him.
No, wait a minute. I don't understand.
It was Joe Foster, the man who kidnapped Elena Decker, who's on the run from the police.
He said he killed Shaw?
That's right. And the DA believes him. You're going to be a free man, Dennis. A free man.
I'll be glad to work out a deal with you. I'd rather work on it alone, though. Bubba is tied up with a lot of his own projects. You just call me tomorrow. We'll have lunch together, okay? Good. Bye.
I just brought you a copy of the survey for your files.
Thanks.
This second well that you're planning to drill, is it also going to tap on Max Decker's land?
Well, no, that's going to be a dry one.
Just.
I promised you that I was going to run an honest operation.
What about Bubba Wadsworth?
Well, I'll explain it all to him. He'll come along with me. Will you have lunch with me?
I've already made plans for lunch. I'm just going shopping with Becky.
Okay.
Did Mr. Mrs. Whittle talk to you about Ryan Connor?
Yes?
I think she's wrong about him.
It doesn't matter whether she's wrong or not. She's going after him. She's going to get him.
So Page gave the confession to Stryker, who gave it to the DA.
Well, why would anyone slip the confession under Page's door?
Well, I suppose because Page is your wife.
Why wasn't it taken directly to Stryker? After all, he is my attorney.
I can't answer that, Dennis. All I know is that it wasn't.
Elliot, Stryker just called. He and the DA went to see the judge, and Dennis's conviction has been set aside.
Oh, that's wonderful, Dennis.
You're a free man now, Dennis.
How do you feel, son?
It's sort of a lot to take in all at once.
Well, just take it easy and let it sink in very slowly.
Dad was just telling me about Joe Foster's confession.
I felt it was unfair to withhold the information any longer.
Oh, well, I understand that. You must be a very happy man, Dennis. And you should also know that there are a great many happy people for you. Well, now, I know I was supposed to have lunch with the two of you, but under the circumstances, I certainly understand if you prefer to have lunch all by yourselves.
On the contrary, this is a celebration, and we'd love to have you along.
I second that suggestion.
Well, and I'm very pleased to accept.
Good.
It'll also give me a chance to talk to you about coming back to KVIK to work. Now, I have a few more calls to make, so when you're ready to leave, please just come by my office and get me.
All right. You all right?
Yeah, I will be once the room stops spinning.
You know, Vicky's right, Dennis. There are a great many people who'll be happy about your release. One of those people is Paige. Paige has been instrumental in helping you all along the way, whether you want to admit that or not. I think you owe her a great deal.
Maybe you're right, Dad. Yeah. Maybe I do owe Paige a great deal.
And you say you haven't seen Joe Foster since the night he showed up at your hotel suite looking for money.
That's right. That's right.
Did he say what he wanted with the money?
No, and since I turned him down, I didn't ask.
Why would he come to you for money?
Well, he used to work for me.
Are you in the habit of making loans to your employees?
No, but Foster used to do odd jobs for me.
What sort of odd jobs?
Well, errands, you know, that sort of thing. Look, why are you asking me all these questions?
Well, Joe Foster's confession was delivered by a friend of yours.
Yeah, I know all about that.
Well, that confession makes us think that Joe Foster is still somewhere here in Houston.
Well, it seems to me it would be the job of the Houston police, then, to follow through on that case, not New York.
Crime was committed in my jurisdiction, Mr. Parnell. I have to follow through.
Is this Joe Foster really all that important?
Well, we have reason to believe that the people he worked for are engaged in a major drug operation.
I'm told that can be a very lucrative business.
And a very dangerous one. And very dirty.
Well, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. Oh, Paige. You're just in time to answer a few questions for the police.
Hello, Lacey.
Hi. Took some messages for you. Vivian went to the supermarket, too.
Oh, thank you, darling.
Iris, we're going to the Jefferson farm. Why don't you come on along?
No, thank you, Brent.
Oh, come on. It'll do you some good.
I don't think so. Not today. Oh, I spoke with Justin Marshall. He's under the impression that Ryan and Alex had more than enough time to argue before Evan and I reached the room.
Oh, come on, Iris. Why don't you get off this vendetta with Ryan? He did not kill Alex.
You can't know that for sure.
Oh, yes, I do. Number one, he's not a killer. Number two, he's not a fortune hunter. Even if Alex had taken World Oil away from him, he would have practiced law and been very happy at it.
And very poor.
Now, as I told you, he was an excellent attorney. He would have made a passable living in the beginning, and by the time he was established, he would have made a wonderful living.
He was certainly clever enough to make Alex's death look like another stroke.
Oh, there's no point in discussing this with you because you're completely irrational.
If
on the
you would
subject.
stop protecting your nephew and examine the facts.
But there are no facts. There's not one shred of evidence that points to the fact that Alex died of anything other than natural causes. All you've got is a suspicion.
You're willing to settle for that?
What's the alternative?
The alternative is to see that Ryan Connor is held accountable for his actions.
Dad, we're going to be late.
We'll talk later.
Have a nice time. Yes, this is Mrs. Alex Wheeler. I'd like to speak to Detective Donovan.
You know, Ruby, I don't really think it's a good idea for you to move in here with me.
Why not? I think we'd make great roommates. Well, I'd be at the coop most nights, so you could have the apartment all to yourself on your nights off.
Well, Ruby,
you don't seem to be here very much during the day either. I know I've knocked on your door a few times, and you always seem to be out.
Yeah, well, you see, I don't really think this place is big enough for two people.
Sure it is. I don't mind sleeping on the couch. Or maybe we could take turns.
Well, you see, I really like living by myself.
Have you ever had a roommate?
No, but
Then you should try it. We could have a lot of fun. We could take turns cooking. We could entertain people. Your brother Ricky, for example.
Well, Ricky really doesn't come by here very often, Ruby.
Well, then he could start. I think between the two of us, we should be able to talk him into it.
I'm going to think about it, okay?
Sure. If you want to, we can go up by the pool and talk about it some more.
Oh, not now. Maybe later, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
I should be out there for at least a couple hours in case you change your mind.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Joe, you can come out of the bathroom now. Well, you haven't changed your clothes yet?
Well, how could I? My clothes are in the bedroom. And I thought you were going to get rid of her fast.
Oh, yeah, well, Ruby is not the kind of person you get rid of fast.
So I heard.
Oh, Joe. What am I gonna do?
Dude.
Ruby wants to be my roommate. She wants to move in here with me.
Well, just tell her you already got one.
Joe, she's serious about this.
Well, just tell her no.
Somehow, I don't think Ruby is gonna take no for an answer.
I'm sorry I can't be of more help to you, Detective.
Well, when you discovered the confession under the door, did you open the door to see if anyone was in the corridor?
No, I didn't.
Weren't you curious?
Well, at the time, I didn't know it was a confession from Joe Foster. I just thought it was an envelope from the hotel or one of those flyers.
Of course. Well, thank you, Mrs. Carrington. If I have any more questions, I'll be in touch.
Fine.
Thank you, too, Mr. Parnell.
That's it. You handled that very well.
How long had he been here?
Long enough to ask a lot of questions.
You seemed pretty nervous when he asked you about the night that Joe Foster came to the suite.
I don't like talking to the police. I never have. Hello?
It's Elliot Carrington. May I speak with Paige?
It's for you.
Hello.
Paige, it's Elliot. I thought you'd like to hear the good news.
The DA's accepted the confession?
Yes, it's official. Dennis is a free man at last.
Oh, Elliot, that's wonderful.
It is, isn't it? Listen, I'm sorry about tonight. I hope you understand.
Oh, of course. Don't give it another thought.
Maybe tomorrow night?
No, I think I'm going to be busy.
Oh. Well, some other night soon, then.
All right. Goodbye, Elliot.
The DA accepted the confession?
Yeah, he did.
It should make you happy.
Yes, very.
This calls for a celebration. I think we should go out on the town tonight. Unless you have other plans.
No, I don't have any other plans.
I've been looking for you.
Listen, another of your letters came to my desk. Now, this one's from the government. I think you ought to open it right away.
I thought you were having lunch with Becky.
Why? I'm on my way out now.
Will you have dinner with me tonight?
No.
Ashley,
Please don't, Justin.
can we have a few hours alone together to discuss this problem? I'm sure we could straighten it out if you'll just talk to me and don't avoid me.
I think that, I think I need time alone to think.
All right. All right. If you won't go out with me tonight, I was going to do this at Henri's, but I guess I'll have to do it right here.
Do what? What is this?
It's an engagement ring. Will you marry me?
Thank you. That's good. I was sorry to read about Mr. Wheeler's passing. I hope you'll accept my sympathies.
That's very thoughtful of you, Detective Donovan. Thank you.
I wish I had more news for you about this Foster case.
You've made no progress.
A Detective Michaels from the New York police is down here. He's been assigned to the case.
Good.
Well, at least your son won't have to go to prison now that Foster's confessed. I'm happy for you about that.
Oh, I'm very happy, too.
I'd be glad to keep you posted on this Foster case if you like. Unofficially, of course.
That would be very kind of you. But there's something else, much more important, that you can do for me.
Yeah, what's that?
I'd like you to arrest Ryan Connor for the murder of my husband.
$500?
Yeah, I thought you might want to take a look at that.
Darn right I want to take a look at it. This is twice as much as they charged us last time.
I know.
Oh, never mind, Roy. I'll take care of it.
Hi, Roy.
Hi,
Hey,
Ruby.
big brother.
Don't hate Big Brother me.
What's the matter with him?
Roy's been showing me the bills. That's what's the matter with me. What's this all about?
What's what all about?
It's an order for new tablecloths from our linen supplier.
Oh, I thought they might liven the place up a little. Wasn't that all right?
No, it wasn't all right. I run the coop here, not you.
All dressed yet?
I will be shortly.
Is that what you're wearing?
Isn't this all right?
It's too bad. I thought maybe you'd wear something a little fancier. I mean, after all, this is a celebration. Your husband's a free man. Or should I say your soon-to-be ex-husband?
You can say whatever you want to, Peter.
Where would you like to go?
Doesn't matter to me.
Oh. Well, then why don't we just go to the coop?
It's fine.
I mean, why should I spend a lot of money on you if it doesn't matter, right?
I'll go wherever you want, Peter.
I ordered you a glass of white wine.
Thank you.
I can see you still haven't made a decision about marrying me.
No, I haven't.
Where's the ring?
It's in my bag.
Do you still think the bracelet was a payoff? Tricking Ryan Connor into using Jay Collins for the survey?
No, I'm not mad about that anymore.
Ashley, I thought you felt the same about me, the way I feel about you.
That's just it, Justin. I don't know how you feel. Not really. I mean, I know that we have fun on Saturday night and we have a great time at dinner and we have a wonderful time in bed. But...
Ashley, I've never trusted anyone in my life before like you. Not anyone. That's very important to me, trust. It's like a partnership. Like sharing. That's what marriage is all about, you know. You're the first person I've ever known I want to share my life with. Have a family with. Grow old with. We're friends, Ashley. We want the same things. We'd have a terrific marriage.
And what about love, Justin? You have never once told me that you love me.
I'm late. I'm sorry. I went back to the Jefferson place to find out if Mr. Jefferson is ready to sell me his horse ranch.
Well, is he?
Well, not yet, but I think he's getting close.
There's some mail here for you.
Thank you.
Where's Lacey?
She came in the back way. She wanted to take a swim before dinner.
I've told Dennis and Elliot that we'd join them for a glass of champagne at the top of the World Club.
Champagne? What's the occasion?
Dennis is a free man.
The confession was verified?
The police were able to check Joe Foster's signature with the State Department, which had issued him a passport, and the Maritime Union because he'd filled out numerous forms.
And the handwriting on both those documents matched the handwriting on the confession.
Yes. So Starker and the district attorney went before the judge and asked that the charges against Dennis be withdrawn because of the new evidence.
Iris, that's wonderful news.
Oh, and I hope now I can persuade him to participate in World Oil, especially since Ryan won't be around much longer. I spoke with Detective Donovan and asked him to arrest Ryan for Alex's murder.
I did not kill my Uncle Alex. Now, I don't know what Iris's problem is, but I'll be damned if I'm going to let her slander me that way.
Honey, please listen to what Detective Donovan has to say.
And I'm amazed that anybody could take Iris seriously, especially the police.
I'm just doing my job, Mr. Connor. Iris Wheeler made the charge. It's my duty to investigate.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you telling me that anyone, any crackpot can charge someone with murder and you're going to investigate it?
Mrs. Wheeler is hardly a crackpot, Mr. Connor.
Detective, have you spoken to Dr. Douglas or any of the other people at the hospital?
Well, no, I wanted to come out here and talk to Mr. Connor first. I thought he had a right to know the charge before I started asking around town. Now, if you wouldn't mind answering a few questions...
I would mind. I'm not guilty. That's all I'm going to say.
What time are Mother and Grant getting here?
Well, I told Iris what time we were having dinner. She said they'd join us for dessert.
Good.
How are you feeling?
Great.
You look great. Better than you have in a long time. I can sense a change in you already, Dennis.
Well, thinking you're going to prison is like thinking you're going to die. You organize your life, decide what's important, try to put things in perspective.
You think your life is organized now?
For the first time in a long time, I feel like I finally know what my priorities really are.
Well, I hope one of those priorities is coming back to work at KVIK. You know, Vicki was sincere when she said your job was still available. Also, there's a certain news director who'd very much like to see you come back.
Oh, I can't imagine who that could be.
Look, Dennis, if working for me is one of the reasons you're hesitating, I understand.
No, as a matter of fact, Dad, that's one of the reasons I've decided to accept.
Do you mean that?
Yes, I mean it. In fact, I kind of like the idea of following in my father's footsteps.
You know you don't have to call me that anymore.
Why? That's what you are. I mean, Alex was a great guy, and I'm sorry he's gone. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to know him, but for 25 years, you've been my father. And you always will be my father.
Thank you, Dennis.
I'm not saying it just for you. I'm saying it for me, too, because it's the truth.
You know, I think at this moment I must be the happiest father on the face of this earth. I'm glad to see the bitterness is gone. That troubled me a great deal.
Yeah, I'm glad it's gone, too.
Dennis, this isn't the best time to talk about it, but I think that Paige, like you, has suffered a great deal because of what has happened. She needs your help, and I'm hoping you'll do something for her soon.
I intend to, Dad. I intend to do as much as I possibly can.
I apologize for blowing up like I did.
Well, I understand. If I thought I was being unfairly accused of a crime, I guess I'd blow up too.
I'll answer whatever questions you want to ask.
All right. Were you aware that Mr. Wheeler had changed his will and turned over World Oil to his son, Dennis?
No, I wasn't. I didn't find out until after Alex's death. See, Ginny and her son flew to Virginia to see her parents the evening Alex died.
Ryan was at the airport when Ashley Linden called and said that Alex wanted to see him.
Yeah, but Ashley couldn't tell me what it was all about, so I put Ginny and Steve on the plane and I went right to the hospital.
Is that when you saw Mr. Wheeler?
Well, Iris tried to stop me from seeing Alex. She thought that I would exhaust him, that he'd already seen too many people that day. But Dr. Douglas intervened and did allow me to see Alex, and I went into the room, and I knew something was wrong. And I moved to the bed, and I saw that Alex wasn't breathing. So I turned, I went into the hallway. Iris and Dr. Douglas were there. Dr. Douglas went right into the room.
Mrs. Wheeler claims that you argued with your uncle about the change in the
Yeah, I'm
will.
aware of what Iris claims.
Well, did you? Argue with your uncle?
I wasn't in that room long enough to even find out about the will, let alone argue about it.
Do you know how much time elapsed between the time you left the reception room and the time you came out and told Dr. Douglas to check on Mr. Wheeler?
Well, probably no more than 2 minutes. Let's see, Justin Marshall and Ashley Linden were in the reception room. They overheard Dr. Douglas give me permission to see Alex. Maybe they know.
Well, I think I'll talk to Dr. Douglas first.
Are you saying that Ryan's being officially charged?
No. This is just an unofficial investigation.
Look, Iris accused me of causing Alex's first stroke by forcing him to assume more and more responsibility for the company.
Yeah, that's what she told me.
Well, I just want you to know that I tried to do whatever I could to get Alex to slow down and to take things easy.
How did you feel when you heard that your uncle was going to turn over the company to Dennis?
I was stunned. But then the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. You see, Alex was very proud of the fact that Dennis was his son, and, well, it seems only natural that he turn over his company to his heir, right?
Yeah, but that would strip you of a lot of power and a lot of money.
No, that's not necessarily true. I mean, as proud as Alex was of Dennis, I doubt that Alex would ask me to step down so that Dennis could run World Oil.
Well, why not?
Because Alex was a very shrewd businessman. And he knew that Dennis didn't know the first thing about running a company, especially one the size of World Oil.
Well, he could have trained him. It's been done.
He asked Dennis if he wanted to be a management trainee. Dennis told him he wasn't interested.
He didn't know that Mr. Wheeler was his natural father, did he?
No. He didn't find out about that until right before Alex's death.
Well, that could have made him interested.
Well, it's possible, but I doubt it. And I'm positive that Alex's will could never have affected me that much, certainly not enough to justify killing my uncle, right?
Well, I'll talk with Dr. Douglas. I'll be as discreet as possible.
Thank you. I'm sure that Iris won't appreciate that, but I sure will.
When did you talk to Donovan?
Earlier this afternoon, I called and asked him to stop by.
Well, I wish you'd waited and talked to me.
I did talk to you. You insisted there was nothing suspicious about Alex's death. I disagreed and felt Detective Donovan should be informed.
Iris, you cannot go around accusing people of murder on a whim.
It's not a whim.
Well, what else would you call it? Manufacturing evidence in order to support an accusation for an imaginary crime.
Manufacture.
Iris, admit it, there is not one single shred of evidence that points to murder.
The police will uncover it, that's what...
But there's nothing to uncover! Alex suffered a stroke that was fatal.
Alex was an extraordinary man with an extraordinary will. He was recovering. He had regained his speech.
Iris, why can't you accept things the way that they are? Why can't you mourn Alex's passing peacefully?
He did not pass away, as you put it.
Iris, the doctors warned you again and again of the possibility of a second stroke. He was a very ill man.
He was murdered by Ryan Connor.
Ryan did not have time to argue with him. Dr. Douglas is absolutely certain of that.
When I left my husband, he was alive. Ryan went into his room, and when he came out, Alex was dead.
He suffered a stroke!
No, Ryan planned to kill him. You see, that's why he had that nurse tell me to go to Evan's office.
Iris, there is nothing to substantiate that. There is one thing that is certain, and that is that Ryan loved Alex. Ryan went to see Alex because Alex asked him to come into that room for a meeting.
No, what is certain is that Ryan would have lost all his money and power if Dennis had taken over World Oil.
Ryan didn't even know about that change in the will. Ryan did not know about it until after Alex's death.
I think he did. And the police will prove it. If you will excuse me.
Oh, Roy, did that electrician come this afternoon about that spot in the bandstand?
Oh, yeah, it's all taken care of.
Okay, thanks. That's good.
You still mad about the tablecloths?
How you doing?
No, I'm not mad. I'm just...
Mad.
All right, maybe I am mad. But I don't like the idea of you coming in here and trying to change everything around. It's bad enough you have to rearrange everything in my apartment where I live.
Well, that's the real problem, isn't it?
What?
Now we're getting to the heart of the matter. Me telling you what to do at home.
Well, what do you expect, Ruby? I ain't used to living with anybody.
You live with Nita.
Nita was different. She was my wife. And besides, Nita let me make my own mess. She wasn't telling me to pick up this and pick up that all the time.
Well, why didn't you tell me all this before?
Because it's not easy to tell you anything, Ruby.
Look, Billy Joe, I'm sorry, okay?
Yeah, I guess so.
I didn't know you thought I was so bossy.
Look, maybe I'm blowing everything out of proportion here, but you gotta understand I'm going through some difficult times right now.
I do understand that. And I'm really sorry.
It ain't easy trying to live without Nita. I'm trying to figure out a way to keep her from pressing for that divorce and maybe to even get back with me. The last thing I need right now is... Well, I got too many other things on my mind without having my little sister going at me all the time, bossing me around, that's all.
I guess you're right. I guess I am kind of bossy. Both of us are pretty headstrong. Just when I see my big brother having so much trouble, I just want to help.
Oh, I know. I don't mean to come down to you so hard, darling. Just... Sometimes your help is like... I guess the real problem is that my apartment is just too small for two people who aren't married to each other, that's all.
I know. I've been looking in the papers every day for an apartment, but I haven't had much luck.
I know, it's hard to find a good apartment right now. I checked with the rental agent at the Aquarius, but he doesn't think anything's coming up.
Yeah, I know. I checked with him, too. Well, what about that apartment Bobby Sue has over her beauty parlor?
I already talked to Roy about it. Seems Bobby Sue's already got some before it.
Well, then I guess your original idea is the best one.
What's that?
You know, me moving in with Elena. The more I think about it, the more I think it sounds like a terrific idea.
Well, I talked to Elena, and she didn't think it was such a terrific idea.
Yeah, I guess not. I talked with her, too. For some reason, I get the feeling that Elena doesn't want me there.
You've never said those words to me either, Ashley. I just assumed we felt the same. That we expressed our love in actions and not in words.
Well, I wouldn't mind hearing the words every once in a while, you know?
I love you. I love you more than anything in the world. I want to share my life with you. Will you marry me?
Yes.
I'll remember remember to say I love you at least 100 times a day.
Oh, once or twice will be enough.
May I get up now?
Yes.
Would you like some champagne?
I sure would.
We'll have a bottle of champagne, please. Anything that you recommend will be just fine. I can tell you how relieved I am. I thought maybe you'd turn me down.
Well, it's such a big commitment. I'm so scared.
There is no reason to be, Ashley. Iris? Hello.
Mrs. Wheeler.
Won't you join us?
Oh, I would love to, but I'm meeting Elliot and Dennis in the dining room.
Let's see there. Excellent.
Are you still celebrating the oil well?
I have struck oil again. Iris, Ashley has consented to marry me.
Oh, that's wonderful news.
Oh, Ashley, I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
Well, perhaps I'll have a glass of champagne with you later.
Of course.
Oh, please do. I love that.
Excuse me.
Why are you looking so sad?
No, she lost the only man she ever loved.
At least they spent some time together, Ashley.
Oh, but not nearly enough.
We'll spend lots of time together, I promise you that.
I'm going to make you happy, Justin Marshall.
I am already happier than I've been in years.
Dad, don't mention anything to my mother about me working at KVIK. Not yet, all right?
Oh, I agree. It wouldn't be the best time. Hello, Iris.
Hello, darling.
Hello? The champagne is chilled and awaiting your arrival.
Oh, I hope I haven't kept you waiting. Yes, thank you.
Oh, not at all. We've enjoyed a nice, leisurely dinner. We've just finished. Where's Grant?
He decided not to come.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, it's better this way. Just the immediate family.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until I was on my way over what it would mean for me to come here tonight. I can't tell you how happy I am that you've been cleared of the murder charges, but I have to admit I'm also a little sad.
Why?
This is my first time out without Alex.
That was very thoughtless of me. I should have realized.
It's all right.
No, it was very stupid of me, especially to suggest this place.
Alex and I did come here a lot. But it's something I have to deal with sooner or later. I can't become a recluse. I'm just glad that I have the two of you here with me to help me through it. It's at times like these that one knows the true value of family.
Yes, I think we've both come to the same realization.
I love you so much. We've all been through such terrible times.
Well, we're strong. We're fighters. I inherited that from you, didn't I? There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to make a toast. To us. Long may we survive.
To us.
Two beers.
Thanks, Roy. When'd you talk to Elaine about moving in with her?
Oh, this morning when I dropped by her apartment. She did everything short of throwing me out the door just to get me to leave.
Well, didn't you call first before going over there?
Billy Joe, she only lives a couple doors down.
Well, yeah, but maybe she probably wasn't expecting company, that's all.
So what? Back in Waco, you and I used to drop in on our neighbors all the time. Nobody thought anything about it.
Yeah, but Ruby, we're not in Waco now. Besides, Elaine is a very private person.
Yeah, I guess you're right. If I didn't know better, I'd think she was trying to hide something.
What would Elena want to hide?
I don't know. Maybe something to do with her canceling all those times at the coop.
Yeah, but ever since she came up with that idea about, Elena and Ricky alternating, she hasn't canceled anymore. I think it was just the fact that performing every night put a strain on her, that's all.
Could be.
In any case, I'll try to talk to Elena again tonight and about you moving in with her. I mean, even if it's only temporary, till you get a place of your own.
Don't look now, but here comes Boggs. That sure is one sad lady he's got with him.
I hope you'll forgive me for leaving, but I'm very tired.
I understand.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
I hope we can have dinner soon.
Yes, I would like that.
Good. May I drive you home?
Oh, no, it's not necessary. John is waiting in the garage with the car.
Good. Well, I think we'll all sleep a little more soundly tonight.
Yes, we certainly will.
I'm very happy about the good news. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Ashley and I are celebrating our engagement. We'd like you all to join us.
Thank you, but I'm going to call it a night.
Yes, so am I. But congratulations. I hope you'll be very happy.
Thank you. You're going to join us, aren't you?
I'd be delighted to. I'll talk to you tomorrow, darling.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Well, did you enjoy your dinner?
Oh, I arrived after Dennis and Elliot had eaten, so I just had dessert.
Well, good. Then you can have dinner with us.
Oh, no, I'm sure you want to have the evening to yourselves.
No, that's nonsense. I can't think of anyone that I'd rather share the evening with than you. Now, except for Aunt Hildy, of course.
Thank you.
Well, this is certainly a night of celebration for you, with Dennis being exonerated, Ashley's engagement,
and Ryan Connor's arrest.
Well, Iris must really hate me, huh?
Ryan, you said yourself that Iris was so upset about Alex's death that she's been lashing out at the first available person, and that's you.
Yeah, well, I'm just amazed she's carried it this far.
Honey, she was so sure that Alex would have a full recovery. She just can't accept the fact that he's had another stroke and died. She needs to blame someone.
Well, I've been patient and I've been understanding long enough. I'm just not going to sit around and let her accuse me of murder.
Ryan, where are you going?
I'm going into town to talk to Iris.
Please wait and calm down. You're too angry and upset, and it'll just turn into a shouting match.
I'm not going to get into a shouting match.
If you go into town in the mood you're in now, that's exactly what'll happen.
I'm simply going to make it clear to Iris that she can't go around accusing me of murder just because she doesn't like me.
Wait until Detective Donovan finishes his investigation. They prove that you didn't kill Alex, and it'll all be over.
Not for Iris.
If the police prove you're
Nothing
innocent...
is ever going to be over for Iris. Now, I have no intention of waiting around for the next time she'll try to destroy me. No. If that lady wants to fight, I'm going to give her the fight of her life.
Ryan?
Because I have those contracts ready for Ricky to sign. If you'd like to look them over now.
Sure.
Is this arrangement all right with you, Billy Joe? Elena and Ricky alternating nights?
Anything that takes the strain off Elena is fine with me.
Terrific.
I'll be right back.
I'm not going anywhere.
Is Elena singing tonight?
Well, yeah, but she's not going to be here till just before the show starts.
Business seems to have picked up since she came back.
Yeah, she's got a pretty nice following.
I hear Ricky's doing all right, too.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Does that bother you, Billy Joe? That Ruby manages Ricky?
No, I guess not.
You don't sound so sure.
Well, to tell you the truth, Miss Carrington, I was kind of mad at Ruby for talking to Parnell about Ricky and Elena without even talking to me first.
But now you've adjusted to the idea.
Well, I finally realized she was right. That it was either that or lose Elena altogether. I guess in the long run it's better this way.
Well, what are your plans for Elena, Billy Joe? It would seem that her hit record would be a great springboard for some good things.
Well, I'm trying to put together another record for her now. I used to have such dreams, too. Dreams everybody thought were crazy. Everybody but Elena, that is. Maybe they were a little crazy, but I made them come true.
Done a wonderful job with Elena, Billy Joe.
Yeah. Yeah, but now that Nita's gone, I just don't dream anymore. I don't know. The thing is, I just don't feel like doing much anything.
I know what you mean.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, Vivian, I'm trying to get a hold of Ryan at his apartment. There's no answer. Now, he may be at the ranch. What's that number, do you know?
Can you hold this a minute? It's in this phone book here. I heard you arguing with Mrs. Wheeler about him earlier.
Well, I don't know what's gotten into Mrs. Wheeler, going around accusing people of murder without one shred of evidence. I know she doesn't like Ryan, but that...
Well, she's not doing this to be mean, Mr. Wheeler. She really believes that he's guilty. That's just the way she is about things. When she really believes strongly in something, she acts on it.
Well, she's wrong, Vivian.
I hope for Mr. Connor's sake she is wrong, but she's just going to have to find out for herself.
Vivian, we're discussing murder. Now, Mrs. Wheeler does not have the right to go around accusing people of murder just to find out whether she's right or wrong.
I know, but she really believes that she's doing the right thing. That's why she tried to cover up for Dennis when she found him in Chris Shaw's office. She's only trying to protect him.
Well, she was wrong then, too. The difference is that she admitted that.
Yes, but now she's trying to protect Mr. Wheeler because she really thinks that he was murdered. And there's nobody that was more important to her than Mr. Wheeler was.
Vivian, no one is questioning her love for Mr. Wheeler. No one is questioning her devotion to Mr. Wheeler. But neither her love nor her devotion excuses what she's doing right now.
If Mr. Connor didn't do it, the police will find out who did. I know Mrs. Wheeler goes about things in the wrong way, but at least her intentions are good.
I'd like some brandy, please. Ashley, would you care for some?
No, thank you.
You barely touched your dinner.
I wasn't hungry.
And this was supposed to be a celebration.
Yes, I know. But, I apologize. I can't stop thinking about Ryan Connor. There's no way that he could have killed Mr. Wheeler.
Oh, I think there is. Alex was going to take everything that Ryan Connor cared about away from him. He probably thought that he deserved to run World Oil, and Dennis didn't.
Well, now, Justin, even if that's true, that's not a good enough reason to kill a man.
Darling, I'm sorry you're so upset about it. I assumed that working for Ryan, you would have realized by now what kind of man he really is.
No. I really think that you don't understand what kind of man he is.
What are you trying to do to me, Iris?
I have a responsibility to see that my husband's murderer does not go unpunished.
I did not kill Alex, and I will not allow you to ruin my reputation by accusing me of murder. You
You
understand?
should have thought of that before you killed him.
I understand your grief and your pain, Iris, but I'm going through the same grief and the same pain. I loved my uncle. My uncle was... I wanted him to recover just as much as you did.
I don't believe a word you
Well, you better
say.
believe it, because I'm going to stop.
What? You'll kill me?
Evening, folks.
Detective Donovan, I'm glad you're here. I've heard quite enough of Ryan's protesting his innocence. Get him out of here.
I can't do that, Mrs. Wheeler,
Why not?
because there is no evidence to support your theory that your husband was murdered. And there's certainly no evidence to suggest that Mr. Connor was involved in any way with your husband's death.
Thank you, Detective Donovan.
So, how are things working out between you and Dennis?
I agreed to give him a divorce. I met with him and his lawyer yesterday.
Is that what you want?
I don't know what I want, Billy Joe. But it's what he wants.
That's what Nita wants too, but I just can't see doing that.
Yeah, but our situations are so different. Dennis and I have no children.
I don't know if it's any of my business or anything, Mrs. Carrington, but you know, the past few times you've been in here, you looked, I don't know, you looked like you're real out of it, you know, like you didn't care about anybody or anything.
Have I?
I mean, if that's what your relationship with Dennis has done to you, then maybe it's best that you do get a divorce.
Maybe so.
Come on, Mrs. Carrington, you gotta lie on the ball. You're a sharp lady. You shouldn't settle for an attitude like that. I mean, if things between you and Dennis don't work out, you just gotta pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just head in some other direction.
I don't know what other direction to head in.
But that's not important, don't you see? The fact is that you just do it no matter what the direction. You gotta just pick out something you want and then go for it. And maybe that won't work out either. Maybe it won't, but that's the way life is sometimes. But in the meantime, you just gotta know that you got friends. Like me. People think a lot of you. Sooner or later, something no good's gonna happen to you.
Sound like one of those self-help books.
Yeah. Well, maybe so, but I know I'm right. It's a feeling I have, just like the feeling I had that I had to make that big hit record.
Do you really consider us to be friends, Billy Joe?
I sure hope so. I hope you think that same way about me, too.
I do.
Well, you two seem to have been having a rather serious conversation.
Oh, we're just discussing life.
Big subject. I think I'm gonna have a beer. What would you like, Paige?
I want to go home, Peter.
Mom? What are you doing out of bed? I was in the laundry room and I found the shirt. You forgot to sew a name tag on it.
Honey, what are you doing rummaging around in the laundry room at this hour of the night?
I was looking for this shirt.
You don't want to take this shirt to camp, Steve. It's about ready to fall apart.
But I love this shirt.
I'll fix it for you.
Thanks, Grandma. Your glasses are in the basket.
Thank you, honey. You are going to be totally worn out by tomorrow.
I couldn't sleep till I knew I had everything packed.
I'm sure going to miss you.
Mom, I'm not going to be away forever.
I know, but it's going to be kind of lonely around here without you.
Mom, will you promise me one thing?
What's that?
Will you promise me that you won't cry when the guys come to pick me up to go to the airport?
I'll try my best. Come here. Well, get to bed, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Grandma. Thanks for fixing the shirt.
You're welcome. Now, wash your feet before you go to bed.
I will.
That's the hardest part, letting them go.
I can't understand how you can close a case before you've even opened it. Well, how much time did you spend on this? What, 2 hours?
6.
And you call that complete?
Look, I talked to the doctors, I talked to the medical examiner, I talked to my chief at the station. And every answer to every question supports Mr. Connor's contention that Mr. Wheeler was not alive when he walked into that hospital room.
You are forgetting the fact that I was deliberately called away from the sitting room so someone could be alone with Alex in the next room.
I checked into that allegation, Mrs. Wheeler. I talked to the nurses on duty at the nurses' station tonight, and not one of them could say that they gave you a message.
Well, did it ever occur to you that the nurse who gave me that message was not on duty tonight?
Yes, that has occurred to me, and I will speak with everyone who was on duty that night, but it's not going to change anything.
May I remind you, it is not your job to predict the path of justice.
Maybe not, but it is my job to judge the facts.
I'll go right to the commissioner.
That's your right, Mrs. Wheeler. But you'd better have more proof than I've been able to come up with before you do. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's been a long day.
Told you you could stay.
What is it, Paige? What's with you?
I didn't feel like going out. I should have told you.
That's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking
I'm talking about
Peter?
you, Paige. I mean, what are you doing here? What do you want?
You kindly offered me a place to stay, and I accepted.
Well, of course I asked you to stay with me. I mean, you just swallowed a bottle of pills. I could hardly leave you alone there.
I've already thanked you for saving my life. Peter, what more do you want?
I want you, Paige. I've wanted you ever since I found you here in Houston.
Go with me.
You're going to do that one time too often. You're always sorry. You're sorry you made the movie. You're sorry you lied to Dennis. You're sorry you ever met me.
No, but I am very sorry I came here, not because I dislike you, Peter. Because I can't give you what you want.
Because you've never given up the idea that somehow, someday, you'd still get your darling Dennis back.
That's not going to happen. I know that now.
Oh, do you?
I realized that the night that Dennis came to my suite. And the reason that I came here was because I was searching for that thing that I had lost. But it was wrong of me, Peter. It wasn't fair to you, and it wasn't fair to me.
Great. So what do you want now?
I don't know. But I know I don't want this.
Ryan, I was worried sick about you. I thought you were going to call me after you talked to Iris. What
I'm
happened?
sorry. I just got in the car and I started driving.
Did you and Iris argue?
I told her how I felt. But Donovan came in with some good news. He says there's absolutely no evidence to support Iris's theory that Alex was murdered.
Oh, it's over.
Well, as far as the police are concerned, it is.
You don't think Iris accepts it?
No, I don't, but I didn't stick around long enough to argue with her.
That was smart.
Maybe not. Maybe I should have just stayed there and had it out with her. Maybe that would have stopped her.
Hey, you said yourself that she's going to believe whatever she wants to believe, no matter what you tell her. You're wasting time and energy by arguing about it. She'll have to give up eventually.
No, Iris is not going to give up until she's done everything possible to try to destroy me.
Ryan.
I know how Iris operates. If she can't nail me for Alex's death, she's going to find some other way. I'm sure of it.
Do you think I'm wrong?
It doesn't matter what I think, Iris. The police think you're wrong. If they stop the investigation, what are you going to do?
What if I went to the commissioner?
You could. What could you tell him? Anything that Donovan doesn't already know?
But I was deliberately called out of Alex's room.
Well, that could be true, but how could you prove that?
Mrs. Wheeler, what makes you believe that Mr. Wheeler was murdered?
Because he was recovering. He was determined to get well, and I believe that determination would have paid off. It did when he was shot. It would have again.
Ryan certainly had a motive.
Cannot tolerate the idea of Ryan Connor being in control of World Oil.
You and Dennis each have 1/3 interest in the company. Combine your shares, Iris. You can oust Ryan tomorrow.
Dennis won't vote Ryan out of office. He's made that very clear to me.
Isn't Dennis aware of your belief that Ryan caused Alex's death?
Yes, but he doesn't agree. He thinks Ryan has done a fine job with the company, and he wants him to continue.
That's too bad. Losing control of the company would be even more devastating to Ryan Connor than going to prison.
I'm going to see that he does go to prison. I don't know how yet, but I will find a way.
Hey, Lena sounded real good.
Yeah, she did.
Too bad Mr. Parnell didn't get to see her.
Yeah, it's a real shame.
He sure left in a hurry. What did you say to Paige, anyway?
We were just talking.
Oh, speaking of talking, did you ask Lane about taking me on as a new roommate?
Ruby, I don't want to push these things, especially not with Lena.
When are you gonna ask her?
I'll talk to her just as soon as when the show's over. She's more relaxed.
Evening, Coop.
I'll talk to her just as soon as everything's over.
Billy Joe. It's Nita, and she's real upset.
What's wrong, darling? Okay, you just stay right there. I'll be right over. I gotta go.
What's wrong?
Billy Joe Jr. needs to take him to the hospital. If anything happens to that baby.
What's wrong with it?
Tell Lane I've gone.